Hey there. Are you ready to step up and get more done in less time? Well, today I'm going to share how to use Google Calendar effectively, and this is to maximize your productivity. But before we dig in, I want you to be sure and subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified every Thursday when I publish a new episode. And if we've not met, let me introduce myself. I'm Kathy Schneider, and I have been an online entrepreneur since 2001, helping solopreneurs elevate your game with streamlined workflows and organized habits to help you maximize your productivity because I am all about helping you spend more time doing the things you enjoy with the people you love and not falling into that habit of working every free minute of every day. All right, let's jump in. But before we do, what I want to do is I want to jump over to my computer and I want to take you inside Google Calendar. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to jump over to Google Calendar. And what I've got to get there, if you're not familiar with that, if you have a Gmail, then you have a Google account, okay? If not, you can still use Google Calendar. You'll want to go to calendar.google.com. I'll put that link below this video. But I want to show you a few things in here. And this is specifically what I'm trying to cover with you today is how to use Google Calendar effectively so that you can maximize productivity, okay? This is so you can be more productive, not just in your business, but also your personal life, your home life, and everything involved, okay? So I've got an outline here to keep me on track. So I'm going through my outline and I want to show you. So I want to start off, this is the current week. The time that I'm doing this recording is this little red line down here, okay? And the reason I'm showing you this week and what this looks like is I want you to see that the things that are sort of, I wouldn't say grayed out, but they're a lighter shade. Those are things that have already happened. That's like, okay, that's prior times, prior dates. The things with the more vibrant colors, those are things in the future, okay? Or, the current and in the future. Now, what I want to do so that you can better understand this is I want to first start off that in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you may not want to do this, and I didn't do this for a long time, so I want to say you don't have to start off here, but I have found it does help me to be more productive. And that is, I have more than one calendar. So over here on the left, I've pulled this up so that it's closer to you. I've got all of the calendars that I have in my Google account, okay? So I know it can look like, oh my goodness, why would you need this many calendars? And I remember thinking this myself at one time. But here's the thing. If you want, you're very limited on the colors that Google Calendar gives you to color code. And I think color coding is very important, not just because I think it's pretty and I like it, okay? But it's because it helps you distinguish your different blocks of time. And you definitely want to work in blocks of time. That's a whole nother training I could do, but you definitely want to work in blocks of time. You want to be able to block off times in your day, block off days or time slots that you're working on specific types of tasks or activities, okay? So I like using the different calendars for that reason because you can assign a different color to each calendar. But in addition to that, what is so cool is you can actually custom code that to be in your brand colors. And you're looking at this calendar every single day. In fact, that's probably my number one tip when it comes to Google Calendar is you've got to actually open it and have it open on your desktop, or if you work strictly from your phone, you need the app on your phone so that you can check it on a regular basis. And by regular, I mean like almost hourly. If you're working, if you work off and on throughout the day, if you're only working certain days of the week, then certainly you could do that, but you're still going to have personal stuff on there. So it's kind of like, a gym membership. There are some really great gym memberships out there. There are some fantastic gym memberships. I've actually been a member of several of them. But guess what? They don't work if you don't show up. And that's the same with a Google Calendar. It won't work for you unless you open it. So, it's kind of like walking into the door of the gym. This is kind of like walking into your calendar. So if you don't open and actually go to your link, and I'll give you a tip up here. You see this AM startup up here in the left-hand corner, this little in my browser. If I click on that, you'll see I've got my Vision video link, Asana, and then Google Calendar. So Google Calendar is something I open every single day, and I pretty much leave it up, okay? So that's just a little extra tip there. You want to make sure that you're opening the calendar and you've got it. I like having two screens. So my screen off to the left of where I sit at my computer is actually where I keep the calendar and Asana pulled up, and I just kind of bounce between those two tabs or those two windows. And then my main screen that's directly in front of me on my desk is where, it's whatever I'm actually working on, but I can just very quickly flip over and look. And I did mention the app when I am planning my day in the morning during my morning routine. And one of those little segments of time is to kind of look over my day. I pull out my physical planner and I pull up my Google Calendar and I look at the two and make sure that the things that are important are on both. Okay, so that's just a little tip for you there. All right, let's dig in some more. So you see the different calendars, and another really cool thing about this, I'll go back down so that this makes more sense. You can uncheck. And this is another reason I like having the multiple calendars. You see, as I uncheck them, this makes them not show up. So what happens is I've got things like this right here is only things showing on my personal calendar, okay? So, and then if I click over to the next week, you see these are the only things showing on my personal calendar, all right? So, and then as I start clicking the boxes, other things come up. And what these things are is it's actually the different segments of my time, okay? It's like my blocked out time that I've kind of said, okay, this is when I'm going to do, this particular activity this is the day I'm going to do it, the time that I'm going to do it. And I slowly just kind of put those things in there. Theme days, I just clicked that one. That's up here. It's like Monday is a theme day for me. A no meeting day. That's my theme day for that day is no meetings. I have it at 4:30 just so that it's not, it shows up there at the top and I see that. Wednesday, you see, is content batching day. And then Friday is catch-up day. And I leave Tuesday and Thursday kind of open for whatever needs to be done. But Fridays, a lot of times I don't work on Fridays. Or not much. I'll work the mornings, and I'll show you that in just a couple of minutes, but I don't usually work Friday afternoons. So I'm going to click these back on, and then what I want to show you is how you want to set your calendars up. Now, I want to emphasize, if you don't want multiple calendars starting off, that's perfectly fine. I started with one calendar, and I still just created each of these blocks that you see here, but all on one calendar. Okay, it was all on Kathy's personal calendar, and that worked perfectly fine. It's just that I could never uncheck the box to unsee some of the stuff. Okay, so as you do this, if before we dig into all the things that you want to include on your calendar, if you're going to add more than one calendar, I have 4 calendars that I think that are really important that you need. Number 1 would be a personal calendar. That's like Kathy's personal calendar, okay? Number 2 would be for your meals. And the reason I do meals only is when I'm just planning meals, and you see the meals down here across the bottom in the brown. When I'm just doing meals, I can just have that calendar checked. But another cool thing about it, so that I can work on that and that only, but another cool thing is I can share that calendar with the family. Okay. That would be something I could share if I wanted to. And then they are the ones that are old enough to care about what the meals are. And then they know what's planned for those meal times. Okay. I also recommend you do a family/household appointments. So that would be family appointments and household appointments, anything to do with the family. Like here you'll see mine is over here on the left. It's this teal color. And so you can see we've got Mosquito Joe's coming on Tuesday, the window washer coming on Wednesday, the yard guys coming on Friday, our daughter's graduation on Saturday, the caterer's delivering on Saturday, and then her grad party's that afternoon. We have family coming in for the weekend here. And so what happens is those things show up on the family calendar. And so each of our family members, they can check a little box if they want to see that calendar because I've shared it with them. And so it will show up on their calendar just like it does here on mine. And if I don't want those things showing up, I just click it and looky there, they go away. So the family has the option to check that on their own or not. But most of the time I recommend as a mom that they have them checked so they know what's going on. So that's number 3. Number 4, this one is really cool. I'm going to have to uncheck all of these or it will be very confusing for you. But this one is probably, I think this was probably the first calendar I created other than my personal calendar. And that was my ideal week calendar. Again, I'll do a complete training on this at some point, but I rename it each quarter. So right now we're in quarter 2. So I've got Q2, my ideal week. And so you'll see, and this one you'll see is all these crazy colors. And this one is ideally, okay, if everything is going to be like it all works out, there's nothing extra going on. These are the things that like I set up. Now, one thing I want to emphasize, I never sit at my desk for more than 45 minutes. And so even though sometimes it looks like it's pretty full on here, you'll notice these breaks in between these white spaces here. And then this at right in the middle, healthy lunch, walk, and household chores. There's an hour and a half that I don't do anything. That's just an hour and a half that I'm just completely away from the computer. And then I'll do projects in the afternoon, and then I shut down at 3:30, get those things shut off, and I'm out of the office. And professional development is usually done in the gym, so it's on the treadmill, that kind of thing. But my point is I'm really not at the desk as much as it looks like. And that afternoon session for projects is only when I've got extra projects going on. So I can actually finish up my day before lunch every day and then be finished if I need to be, okay? So I would definitely recommend that you create an ideal week. Like, what do you want that to look like? Just dream big. If it's just perfect, you'll want to do that. But when you do your ideal week, and this will be a little bit of training for this, I'll just give it to you now. One of the things you want to do, because this goes into making your calendar very productive, I want you to think about, when will you never work? I'm going to go back and check these things off again. So when will you never work? Okay, that's the first thing you've got to decide. And you need to mark those times on your calendar. So, when will you never work? You don't have to block the time as I will never work here, but that's where you want to determine family and household time, scheduling your time for healthy meals. If you've got any, standing appointments, like my youngest is the one that's graduating from college on Saturday. So I don't have to run kiddos around like I used to. But when I did, then I had to, of course, not work when I was picking the kids up from school, helping them with homework, those type of things. So that's why I redo this quarterly, because things are always changing, right? Some of those things would be like, they would be in one sporting event one semester, and then the next semester that would change. And so I always update my calendar quarterly, and it lets me review, but it also lets me keep things kind of fresh and say, okay, what was working, what wasn't working, or how do I need to adjust this? Not that you can't adjust in the midst of the quarter, But I think it's really important that you have a specified time that you are going to make sure that you know, you stop and you actually work on your calendar. And that needs to be minimum once every quarter. Okay, so the 4 calendars to add: personal, of course, that's your main calendar, meals, and then family, household appointments, and then your quarterly ideal week. Okay, so that's that. And when will you never work? Family, household time, and schedule time for healthy meals or anything else that might be up. So next, when will you always work? And you need to determine when are those time slots that you will always work your business. Now, if you have a job in addition to your building a business, then you need to mark off those work times at your job, right? You need, if you're a teacher, we'll say, then when do you have to show up into the classroom? When do you leave? What are those, what is that schedule? I know one time for me, back when I taught school all day, like most teachers do. But then when we had our first daughter, or our first child, who was a girl, and we had our first kid, then I was able to negotiate with the school, and I only worked until lunch, and then I had afternoons off. And another teacher who had had a baby, she worked the afternoons and she had mornings off. So we were able to just work that out and trade it out. And it was really cool. So things can, always change, right? So it was this, and at that time, my husband and I had a business that we were working. So my business time was, even though we had the little one, we still worked in the things I needed to do for the business, of course, in the afternoons, because in the mornings I was in the classroom teaching. So you've just got to look at your schedule and say, okay, when will you always work your business, and mark those times off. And then you want to work in your morning and evening routine. You'll see that in this dark purple shade here, or maroon. And then at the bottom, my evening routine. And then I also have sleep down here. You want to make sure you've got that morning and evening routine specified. I have 5 to 7:30 because I don't set an alarm. Sometimes I get up at 5, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 6:30, just whenever my body wakes up. But I pretty much go to bed almost every night at 9, unless, we do have people at the house or we're at an event that's later. But as far as on my regular schedule, I usually go to bed around 9, and then I'm up usually, between 5 and 6 pretty much every day, just on my own. Okay, and then you want to decide when is your exercise time, and you want to make sure that you've got space in there for that. So for me, I like to exercise in the afternoons when I've shut everything down. Occasionally, I will, usually about 3 days a week, I will walk in the mornings, and those are on the days when I don't need to shower, because I don't walk like briskly. It's not like working out in the gym where I need to go shower afterwards. I will just take a good, nice 30-minute walk, listening to some personal development. The weather's decent, I'll do it outdoors. If it's not, I do it on the treadmill. But I do that usually 3 to 5 days a week, if you look at the whole 7 days, okay? And then I have the days that, when I shower, it takes a little bit longer to get ready. And so on those days, I usually don't do that. But you look at your schedule, what works for you. And then you want to also look at your startup time. Like, when are you going to say, this is when I'm going to work? And guess what? Even when I had small kids at home, I had a specified time that I went to work. Now, obviously, with a newborn baby, that's going to be a little different. If your child isn't feeling well, and they're teething, or they're sick, or they've had a virus or whatever, obviously that's going to be different. Okay, so I understand that, but I'm just talking about, again, on the ideal week and the ideal time. For the majority of the time when my kids were little, I had a very specified time that I worked, and I had a specified time that I shut down and I stopped working. I still do that today. Okay, so you'll see on here, I have my startup at 9 a.m. and it's this light gray. That's one of my calendars over here, is startup, rituals, and shutdown. So I have my shutdown from 3 to 4. Usually it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to shut down, but some days there are more messages to answer right at the end, more emails to respond to. That's my time to kind of like finish everything up for the day. Some days I can finish in 15 minutes. Some days it takes 45. And then I'm usually, I'm finished. And then rituals, which you'll see right here, 10:45 to 11:30. Rituals are things that they happen on a regular basis. I would call them administrative type tasks, okay? Which startup is kind of that way too, but startup is like, okay, you're going to, pull up your calendar, and then you're going to, for me, that's open up Asana. And then I'm going to go through, and it's kind of the same things I do at Workday Shutdown. It's like, okay, I need to check in the Slack channel. I need to check, in with the contract people that are doing projects for me, check the messages from them. My YouTube lady is in another country, so she's working when I'm sleeping. So there's always messages there that I need to check from her. And so that's the reason I, have that time at 9, but then I also have my afternoon time to check messages and that kind of thing. But rituals are more repetitive tasks that need to be done that aren't really in that startup, and they're not in that shutdown, okay? These aren't like marketing and those kind of things, but administrative things that need to be done, and they need to be done on a consistent basis. And so that's what I have there. And then I love to have my social media engaging time. That's what I like to call be a human social session. And I do that because it's like, this is my time to engage with people. It's my time to show up on social media and comment on people's posts, respond to comments that people have made on my post. I respond to stories. I respond to DMs, direct messages. It's like, that's my time to be social. That's my time to show up and let people know that I am a real human. And, I'm not just this autoresponder sending out emails or this scheduled post coming from Planoly on, to social media or whatever, right? It's a time to show up and actually converse and have conversations with my audience. And so I love that time. That's also when I go into my groups and talk to people there and that kind of thing. And then you'll see down below, this is the next one I want to mention, is projects. So if you see here from 1 to 3, this is my project time. And this would be anything that, I know I've got Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and normally Friday. But because we're getting ready for the graduation, you can see I bumped Workday Shutdown up to 12:30 to 1:30 because we have company coming in town. In fact, I'll show you how this works because I won't be working out that day. So you click this, and then you click the little trash can, and you can click either this event or this in following events. Well, I just want this one to go away. So I'll click that and see there it goes away. So I've got things planned, and I know that, okay, by 1:30 on Friday, I will be finished with work for the weekend so we can, go through the graduation and the party and celebrate. And then I mentioned that you want sleep time on there already, but I definitely want to end with that and tell you want to make sure you have that. So I hope you found this helpful, that you want to go in and you want to actually set up each of these sections. So now what I want to do, and for those people that maybe don't know, to create a calendar, you go down here to the little plus sign and you click this, and then you do create new calendar. And we'll call this one test, and you can give it a description if you want to. I'm going to create the calendar. And once this creates, you see it over here. We're going to go back in the settings, and I'm going to undo all of these again. Except for test. All right. And now all that's showing is the test calendar. I could click these 3 little dots, and then I could actually click this plus sign, and that's where you add a custom color if you want to. All right, but I'll just pick this one. And then we've got this one open, and then to create a task, you go up here, or not a task, an event, and then you click the little event, and this is going to, by default, come up to the time of when you're actually creating it, but I'll show you how you do this. So this would be that one, we'll call it, and I'm going to schedule this to be Friday at, I'll just say 9 a.m. and it's going to end at 9:45. And then I'm going to click on more options. And when more options comes up, one thing I like to do is always click that I'm free, unless it's a time when you want to be busy. The reason is if you use anything where people can access your calendar to make an appointment with you, or even if you don't yet, but you might someday, you want to make sure that you've got that free, or that event scheduler that is integrated with your Google Calendar is going to see that you're busy, and they're going to tell people you're not available then. So you've got to determine what things you're available and what things you're not. Okay. You obviously have to have spaces for people to make appointments if you're needing that to be done. But anyway, I like to keep it on free most of the time. And then the other thing, this is where you could click and I could change the color of this one appointment if I wanted to, but you can see you're very limited. These are the only colors that you can do. So I really like to have each calendar be its own color. I think that works better. And then I'm going to click on does not repeat, and I'm going to have it repeat. I'm going to go to custom so you can see how that works. And I'm going to have it repeat on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'm not going to have it ever end. So I'm going to say never and then hit done. And then I'm going to go up here and hit save. And now you see it here, but if I go to the next week, you see it's all three. It's showing up on all 3 days. Another really cool thing you can do is you can drag and drop this. And again, you can say this event or this in all events. And then it'll automatically change those going forward. Now, if I go back, this one, see, a date that was prior to did not change because it only changes the forward dates. Okay. So that's how you're going to actually schedule an event, and that's how you're going to block your time. So if you want to create your ideal week, you just want to go through and you want to schedule out each of the blocks of time that we talked about earlier. So if you found this helpful, I want you to drop a comment, please, below this video. If you have questions, drop your question below this video. Be sure to join my exclusive Facebook community for high-performance solopreneurs. You can join at kathyschneider.com/join-group. I'll put the link below this video. And remember to subscribe to my channel because I publish a new episode every Thursday, and the next one is going to be a fun one. It's all about goal tracking template using Asana.